Yeah, the domain will be any value of x until infinity, but it must not be equal to 0 because it does not touch the 0. Okay? We can actually check by substituting the value of x equals 0. So we realize that if we substitute x is 0, we will get 1 over 0. And 1 over 0 is actually is not a real number. So therefore, we can say the domain of this curve are all the values of x. There is no ending, except that it must not be equal to 0. It can be negative infinity, it can be positive, but it must not be equal to 0. Okay? Okay, what about the range? So the range is denoted by the green line. Again, say we take a point from the curve and draw dotted lines towards the y-axis. So we can keep on continue doing this until infinity. So we have negative until infinity. We also have the positive value of y until infinity. But again, this curve doesn't touch the x-axis. Therefore, we can say the minimum, the condition for range will be all values of y, where y must be real number. Except that y must not be equal to 0. If y is equal to 0, then it will be not a real number. So therefore, the answer for this question will be range equals to all values of y, where y is a member of R. Okay? And y must not be equal to 0. Next, for y equals to x plus 3. Alright? So you can also bring the square root to the left side. We will get y squared equals to x plus 3. And if we sketch the curve, we will get a curve similar to what is shown on the screen. So from here, in order to find the domain, remember, so domain is obtained by taking a point from the curve and drop it to the x-axis. So here you can see we can continue doing this, and since this curve will continue until infinity, therefore we can say the value of x will be until infinity. However, there's a condition here. Here we can draw all this dotted line from the curve until x-axis towards the right hand side, it will become infinity. But what about left hand side? So there's a limit here. Now since this is equals to x equals to negative 3, therefore we can say the domain for this curve can be any value of x as long as it is a real number, but it must be greater or equal to negative 3. It cannot be less because we don't have points. We don't have dotted lines on the left side here. Okay? So the same goes for the range. Range, we will take any points from the curve and draw dotted lines towards the y-axis. And we can see that here the dotted line, green dotted line, will continue until infinity because there is no ending. Yeah, the same goes for negative. It will also go towards infinity. So we can say range is equal to all values of y, where y must be a member of real numbers. Okay? Next, let's look at exercise 3.3. For exercise 3.3, determine the domain and range of the following functions. So here I'm going to show you again how to find domain and range. So for the function y equals to 2x, similarly you have to draw or sketch a straight line y equals to 2x here, and then take a point from the line and then drop it onto x-axis. And again, we actually can continue doing until infinity here, because this line will continue until infinity on the positive side. On the negative side, the line will continue, and therefore we have the value of x moving towards infinity on the negative side. So we can say that the domain of this line will be all values of x, where x must be a member of R without any condition. There's no limit here. And then for the range, we take a point and drop it to the y-axis, and we can see from this graph, because this straight line has got no ending, therefore the positive side of y will continue until infinity. The same goes for negative side, will continue until infinity. So we can say the range will be all the values of y, where y must be a member of real numbers without any condition. Okay? Next, for fx equals to 3 minus x, you can say y equals to 3 minus x. So since this is a negative x, which we will learn in chapter 4 on how to plot this straight line. Okay, so this is a negative line. So same thing, we will take any points on the straight line and then drop it onto x-axis. And in fact here we can continue because the line will continue until infinity. So we have the value on the left hand side to moving towards infinity. The same goes for value of x moving towards infinity. Therefore we can say domain of this line will be all values of x, where x is a member of R, which is the real number. So the same goes for the y-axis. To find the range, we take a point from the line and then drop it to the y-axis. So we can see this line will continue until infinity. The same goes for the negative side. At the bottom, we can keep on plotting, we can keep on drawing dotted lines until infinity. There's no ending. So we can say the range for this straight line are all values of y, where y must be a member of R. Okay?